Hello, everybody, and welcome back. For those of you who have been joining us throughout these email marketing webinar series, we have made it to the very last one. Today's topic is using email reporting and statistics to grow your revenue. If you are sad that this is the last one, don't worry, because we are going to be having some more great series in the new year. So stay tuned for those email invites that you will be getting shortly. So before I hand off here, I'm going to go here to the next slide, and I will actually hand over to Steve, who will take over now the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Daniela. Glad to be with you guys. Happy holiday season, and hope everybody's getting ready for a fun and hopefully relaxing week next week. Like Daniela said, we have arrived at the final installment of our email webinar series. Today we're going to be tackling reporting and email statistics, again, like Daniela said. And just to recap what we've covered so far, so we went through email for simple ticket events on November 4th. For those that maybe have one or two different ticket types on the same night for a single event. Then we went into how to personalize emails using historical data imports through custom lists and advanced recipient lists by combining with custom lists with default lists. So getting in sort of that really like nuanced and powerful tools within our email marketing tool. And then we went into advanced ticket events for those that are offering multiple sessions. So think kind of a beer tasting event, multiple tasting sessions in one day over 3 days. So now here we are, and when these emails have been going out and you've been sending these, we're collecting this data for you, and now we have to decide what are we going to do with this data. Certainly there's a reason to collect it and report on it, and so what we want to cover today is how you can really leverage that information into future success. So before we get into everything, again, just housekeeping items. So you can minimize or maximize your screen using the arrow button in the upper left-hand corner of your GoToMeeting control panel. And if you have any questions, there is that question pane, so just drop it in there. We'll try to cover it during the webinar at the end, or if you don't get that question answered that you need, don't worry, we will reach out to you and cover that with you individually. And we will send out a recorded version of this webinar within the next 24 to 48 hours. And that will take you to a link to a blog that will have a recap of it all. So if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribing to our blog at GiveSignup.blog, because that's going to keep you in the know for any recaps of webinars in case you missed it or you want to watch it over again. Plus, any of our product development, new features and tools that we're releasing, you're going to find out first, along with everybody, through posts that we're doing through that blog. So by joining the list on that site, you will be in the know like everybody else. And then again, we're giving you the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one workshop. And it doesn't have to be just for email marketing. If you want to just go through a tutorial, walk through anything on our platform, you know, Elizabeth and I, as well as the rest of our account management team, are here to do that with you. We want everyone to have a successful year-end giving campaign as we're closing out 2021 and of course launching into a successful 2022. All right, and then if you haven't joined the nonprofit circle, this is your homework for this evening. You're going to scan that QR code right now, and you can get ahead of it by doing it in this very moment. It's very helpful because what this does is connect you to other organizers, a lot of nonprofits that are operating in this space on the GiveSignup platform, and you guys can share your learnings, your best practices, so you can learn from others. And for those of you that are power users, or you've had a couple events, or you've done a couple campaigns, you can share what you have found. So, and we see a lot of communication with groups that are talking about things completely unrelated to GiveSignup, RunSignup, and that's awesome, because I think all of us need support, you know, in everything that we're doing here in this crazy world, and certainly for those of us that are attached to so many great causes and doing so much good in the world. So, and then just wanted to remind you of who's talking. I'm Steve, and I am our product manager here for GiveSignup, RunSignup, and I am a former event organizer and still doing a little bit on the side. So I've been in the trenches with y'all, and so happy to be more on the technology side and really making sure that the product is really meeting the needs of our customers and working across functions within our organization to make sure that happens. And then with me, as always, is the wonderful Elizabeth. And if any of you have been emailing info@givesignup.org, you know that she is usually the one. I do cameos on Wednesdays, but the real star of the show is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And Elizabeth, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, if you don't know me already, I'm a senior account manager here at GiveSignup, RunSignup. I've been here for about 2 years, and I love helping everyone with their events and fundraising.
And so what we're going to cover today is we're just going to do an overview of GiveSignup, RunSignup for those of you that are familiar with our peer-to-peer fundraising events, registration, endurance side of things in the past, and maybe you're just hearing GiveSignup for the first time. We'll go through the basics, sort of the one-on-one on email statistics and reporting, and go through some best practices, which I think is helpful for all of us who are email marketers, and regardless of what platform you're using. And we're going to go through a demo. Elizabeth's going to lead that through of how to navigate to the reporting and the statistics, what all of those sort of buckets of information mean, and then how we can pull some learnings from it, which will lead into some discussion on putting those analytics to use so that you are finding success from all of this data. And then, as we always do in our webinars, we like to give you an action plan, which, you know, you've learned some great things, but what are you going to do with it? And so we give kind of a roadmap as to, you know, how you can start experimenting and actually putting this information and all of this into play to work for you. So first, just to remind you who we are, we're event and fundraising experts, founded in 2010, and a lot on the peer-to-peer fundraising events and registration side. But our purpose really is to make it free and easy for nonprofits to raise more money, grow their events, and engage their supporters. And we do this by creating free and easy to use event and fundraising software that you can fully control. And I think that's so important, is having that self-serve element where it's in your hands. You are the determiner of your destiny and the future of your event on our platform. But then you also have this amazing team behind you, supporting you with our help articles and our blog, and myself and Elizabeth and our whole company working to ensure that you are going to be successful. And then just a couple stats that I think are important. We've helped our customers raise over $1.4 billion. The industry-wide just saw a record Giving Tuesday donation amount. So when we are all, you know, helping our nonprofits on our platform in having those successes, and that's over 10,000 nonprofits and over 26,000 events using GiveSignup today. So you're all are part. If you don't have an event yet, this is your toe tipping into the water or dipping into the water now, you are walking into a large network of folks doing a lot of great things out there, raising money for great causes. So we wanted to go through just kind of some basics and concepts that are related to email reporting and statistics. So we're going to cover, you know, how to understand the statistics that we show in our platform on GiveSignup, and what can you get out of evaluating the pieces or the buckets of information that we're going to be providing. So with data deliverability, how many emails are actually getting to your folks, and that's going to really speak to the strength and the integrity of the list that you're using to reach out and ask your supporters to continue to support you. Open rates, and that's from both total open rates as well as unique open rates. So Elizabeth, who's super excited about the next art fair that's coming up in June, she opened it 30 times in 30 minutes, but the unique opens is going to help you see how many unique people did, and we're going to cut out those frequent openers, right? I think that's really helpful. And then the bounce rates. So again, speaking to the integrity of your lists, if you've got some addresses that are no longer valid or domains that no longer exist, and making sure that you're able to prune your lists so you know who's actually getting the information that you're putting out there. Spam report rates. So for those that feel like the content was maybe a little too sales oriented, a little salesy feeling, or maybe it was too frequent, you might see some of those, and that can help determine how you're going to or when you're going to send your emails, as well as what content you're going to include, and that can inform you on both those pieces. And then click-through rates, of course, which is our big, sort of determiner of how successful people actually taking action after opening your email and then doing the thing that you're asking them to do. So a big part of why we provide this information on our platform is to help you as a nonprofit evaluate the performance of past emails and then improve your future messaging. So if you don't do anything with that information, it's really useless. So taking it and actually making action that's going to help you succeed. That's the key part. And then managing your unsubscribes and resubscribes. And we've got some best practices that I know Elizabeth's going to touch on later. Now here's a sort of about, speaking of best practices, what makes an email effective? So first of all, and we include a lot of these pieces on our page where you actually create your email content, just as an extra reminder, but concise and simple subject lines. I have a tendency to go on, and I'll give you a paragraph if they'll let me, but we want to keep that to about 9 words or so, and go easy on the exclamation points. That's another point that I have issues with. And thank goodness I have friends like Elizabeth to help keep me in line. But
my rule is 1 exclamation point per email. So don't use it up in the subject.
I'm still working on that. I'm almost there. I'm working on it. And obviously you want people to be just as excited as you are about what you're what you're raising money towards, or the next event that's going to be just you can't miss this event type of an event. But I think that people appreciate, and it's probably going to increase your open rate if you keep that pretty small and simple. And then personalizing messages. So people get so much. We're going to cover the overwhelming people part in a second, but people get so much communication out there. I mean, you should see, like, with the Apple recent iOS updates, there's even more options to filter out, and do focus times and things like that. And that's because people are just so inundated, and we know that, right? But like, we're not always the best at making sure that we're not part of the problem. So, by personalizing, speaking to, like, look, I know you, like, you are a supporter of mine. You're not just an email address that I'm going after a transaction for, and using our tools like the custom list to bring in data from their history with you and your organization helps them understand that, like, this is really relevant to me, and they value the way that I've been participating or supporting them in the past. And then follow up and do it strategically. So making sure that you're using, if on our platform, if you're using the custom list, you can combine and exclude default lists. So if I've got a list of all my past donors over the last 10 years, and I'm excluding those that have already donated to this specific campaign, then you can continue to send emails to the folks that haven't contributed yet, and you're not giving information, or you're not giving requests to folks that have already done what you've asked them to do. So that's really key, and keeps your list dynamic and clean and relevant. But also, once people have contributed to you, or once they have signed up for your event, give them information that they're looking for. Like, yes, you promised all that you're going to do with these funds for this specific campaign. Show them the reality of that. Give a picture, put a picture in a follow-up email to those folks, and be like, this is somebody that you actually helped by contributing to this campaign, or here's important details that you need to know, things maybe you need to bring to this event in order to be successful and to have the most fun. So, don't end it at that one ask. Make sure you've got a fully fleshed campaign planned out. And then what to avoid doing. So again, overwhelming recipients. So it can be too frequent of emails, too close together, too much copy. So not only are you keeping your subject line concise and simple, but do that as well for your emails, because we know that people are not going to read too much. Make sure you're getting the bulk of your information in that first paragraph. Make it easy to understand, make it measurable, so that folks are, really connecting to the communication and do what you are wanting them to do. And then not segmenting. You want to avoid this. So think about, you've got a list of maybe 50,000 contacts for your organization, and that's made up of folks that ran or walked in your 5K in the spring, and it's your gala attendees, and it's your year-end donation supporters that gave to you during the holidays. Those are, knowing that information about them is so powerful, so that you're breaking that into 3 different emails and going after each 3 segments of your list and talking to them. That makes more sense. Like maybe they're not so into the 5K. That's fine. You're all about the holidays. You are Hallmark Channel 24 hours a day, and you give to every nonprofit you can get your hands on. Perfect. I'm going to speak to you, and I'm going to give you the best Hallmark watch schedule you need. Right? Not no steak in Hallmark, promise. Just great Christmas movies.
Really? I couldn't tell.
Elizabeth, I'm hooked on a few of them. I'll give you my top 10 list later. But speak to them so they feel like, all right, like this is something that I'm specifically interested in. This is when I am, when I have my giving, my personal or my annual giving on my radar. And then for those that are part of your 5K, talk to them about like, how are you keeping the holiday pounds off, and what are your fitness goals for 2022? Here's our goal, and we hope that you'll be part of it. And then vague requests. So I think it's really important. I was talking about measurable information or goals before, but just tell them like, we want to raise this much money by this date, and it's going to go to this cause, or it's going to go to this specific function that we're working on in our organization, so that they feel like this isn't going into, and we know that it's not going into some bucket to pay overhead or some other thing that is not directly tied to the cause, but it helps folks, it motivates them to know where specifically it's going to go, and that they're part of this very calculated and planned campaign. And then this next slide here, I'm just going to outline what Elizabeth's going to cover. So we're going to go into and check out that icon at the bottom. So that's where you're going to find this in your dashboard, is by going to email and then email reports. But we're going to talk about sent emails list, so you can see everything that you have sent or that you've scheduled to send, because there's an important thing you can do there if you need to after you've scheduled it. And then talk through those email statistics and the different charts that we offer. Being able to filter by date period, and then going into the unsubscribed emails menu option, where you can download these, you can resubscribe for those that are appropriate. Again, Elizabeth's going to cover best practice on that. And then if you need to bulk unsubscribe people, so it's a huge time saver not having to do that one by one. So I will turn things over now to Elizabeth, who's going to go into our GiveSignup world here in the dashboard and go through where you can find these things and how they're going to be useful to you.
All right, so I pulled this up in this event that we've been using for a few of these webinars. So Steve's Craft Beer Fest ticket event. Obviously, this is also available in donation websites if that's what you're using, donation forms, and eventually we're going to bring this to all of our products, so you'll be able to have this email tab there as well. But right now I am in email, send email, and I'm going to show this in a second. Just run through sending an email again and highlight a couple of things that will help with your delivery rates and kind of show you what pulls into the reports. But I wanted to show you where I was in the dashboard. So I'm going to hop over here to where I've started to put together an email, and you can see I have 2 exclamation points, which is, that's a Steve move, not really a me move. So I'm just going to keep it simple though. I'll leave it. For my subject line, I'm going to put "come to our event." Keep it simple. I think I've sent this email several times now, but you'll notice here we actually have a little best practices tab, and this is what I wanted to point out. So this actually gives you some best practices for email subject lines, and it's kind of what Steve just went over. Be descriptive, keep it short, limit punctuation, avoid using more than 3 punctuation marks. That's generous. But it does say try not to use more than 9 words. So this is direct, tells people what they should do. You should probably capitalize this. So assume I have a more fleshed out email with an actual request. I just kind of want to show you guys something that you can do now that we didn't have before in this. So when I go to review email, I have to actually select some recipients. I'm going to send to my 2018 attendees and ask them to come to the 2022 event. So I'm going to go into review my email. I'm getting ready to send. This is how you send an email. You can see your estimated recipient count based on what list you picked. So this is kind of good to know. So if you have a list that has, say, 100 people on it, and you get to this step and you check this and it says something like, 50 estimated recipients, you might want to go back and double check what you're doing, because maybe half those people are unsubscribed, or there's a bunch of duplicates in your list or something like that. And you might want to go back and check that list, clean it up a little bit. Because this will estimate how many people are actually going to receive the email that you're about to send. So as you all know, if you've come to previous versions of this webinar series, we have a send immediately option and a schedule a send option. I'm going to schedule this one, and I'm going to say it should go out today. So today's the 16th, but I'm going to say 6 p.m. I'm in Eastern time, so it will go out in the time zone that I'm currently in. Or actually, yeah, because Steve's event is in Chicago time. Okay, so I'm going to confirm my email. So now it's scheduled. So you can see, looking good, your email's been scheduled for delivery. But you'll see there's now this nice red cancel option. So if I go here and I'm looking at what I just scheduled and I'm like, oh wait, there's too many exclamation points in my email, I can cancel this email. I'm actually going to do it. And then if you go over to your sent emails list, you'll see that email still. So you haven't deleted it. It's just unscheduled. So I could reschedule it when I'm ready to actually send it out. So maybe I scheduled it for the wrong time. Maybe I didn't like something about it. You have that option to go back in here and reschedule. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, I'm going to hop over here to the email reports and show you guys what we have so far. So we actually only have a couple of reports in here currently, but you'll see this one is like several reports in one. So you can see a bunch of statistics and graphs here, and I'll explain what some of this is in a second, but let's start at the top. So you can group these by right now, day, week, or month. Eventually we'll probably add year in here, but obviously our email system is new, so you're not going to have that many statistics. Let's do it on a day, and I'm going to also change this to, let's do the last couple of days before today, because that's when I sent a bunch of emails. So you can filter it on different dates if you know, oh, okay, I just want to measure like my December emails in this report, or I just want to see like how different months, like what my click rate was in January versus December or whatever. So that's nice that these filters exist, and you can also group on a different period, so day, month, or week. So down here, we have a few different statistics, and I'll explain what each of these are. So requests would be the number of email addresses that we tried to send the email to, or did deliver the email to. So in this case, over these couple of days, my emails reached 14 people. The delivery rate is the percentage of this that it actually delivered to. So 92.86%, which is pretty good. My open rate is how many times people opened those emails. So you'll notice mine is much higher than 100% because I opened a bunch of my own emails multiple times to pad this number. But if you had an open rate that was much lower, which is more common, like maybe 40% or something, that would tell you that around 40% of people who received the email opened it. So if you have a bigger email list, your open rate is going to be a little lower, because obviously most, not all of your emails are going to get everyone opening it like 3 or 4 times to reread what you sent them. Unless it's from Steve and it's a list of his favorite Hallmark movies, then you might want to go back to it multiple times. Here's your click rate.
Percentile on the open rate.
So your click rate, Steve, can you explain this one? I'm not very good at explaining click rate.
So that's just going to be when folks, let's say you've got any kind of URLs in your email that you've sent out, if anybody has actually clicked on one of the links that takes you out to another website, right? So maybe to go to the donation campaign or to go to the event site and go ahead and actually sign up.
Yeah, so you'll notice in the email that I had just scheduled or unscheduled, I had that buy tickets button. And right now, with the simple email template that we give you, we have more templates coming in the new year, so keep your eye out. But with that simple version that we have right now, we kind of force you to have a button. You can take it out, but we force you to have one. So you're always going to have a click rate if you're just using that. Because if you have a button in there, you're going to see how many people actually clicked on that button from your email. So mine said buy tickets, and I think the one that I sent to myself a few times yesterday also had a buy tickets link. So that means that 14% of the time I clicked that buy tickets link. You know, I opened it 342% of the time though. Okay, so your bounce rate would be how many emails have bounced. So like Steve was explaining earlier, if you have bad email addresses, old domains that don't exist anymore, things like that. I don't have anybody, I guess, on my list that bounced. And then spam report would be how many people reported your email as spam. So again, I didn't report any of my own emails as spam, neither did anybody else like Steve that I emailed like 3 or 4 times to get some statistics in here. So I have pretty good bounce and spam report rate. These graphs, they're going to be more valuable the more time and data you have, obviously. But this will kind of show you like what did well. And you'll see these are pulling on the day because that's what I set up here. So it's going to show me like how many requests per day, how many were delivered, how many were opened. So you can kind of track, you know, based on, oh, I sent 1 or 2 emails that day. So I can see what did well on a specific day. This is really useful if you're interested in figuring out like what days of the week your emails do well. So Steve and I were talking about this yesterday, and like some people find that Tuesdays and Thursdays are really good. Some people always send on Mondays. So if you're interested in kind of drilling down that far, you would want to figure out, you know, what day to send your emails on. You could use this graph and put it over a month of time or something and figure out what days you have the highest open rates and click rates. So this is just explaining what's in the graph right above. So that's this page. We're going to be building out these reports more as we build out this whole email system. So there will be more coming on this, and we'll probably have another webinar to do eventually on it. But that's what this page does for you for right now. So now I'm just going to hop over, and the last part of our demo is showing you this unsubscribes page. So this is another report that will show you anyone that's unsubscribed to your emails. So up here, you'll notice this first drop down. This is actually pretty important. We've mentioned this in almost every webinar, I think, in this series, but we have 2 classifications for your emails that you can use. So marketing or transactional. Marketing would be if you're emailing a list of people that you're trying to get to come to your event. And transactional would be if you have a list of people that have already signed up and you're kind of sending them updates about the event. Those are the 2 examples for a ticket event. So transactional are people that have already, you know, made a transaction with you or already part of either this campaign or this event. Marketing are people you're trying to reach. It's really helpful to have 2 different lists because you can sort this and see who's unsubscribed to your marketing list. But if they unsubscribe to a marketing email, they won't be automatically subscribed to a transactional list. So if I sort this, you'll see there's no one who's unsubscribed to any of my transactional emails that I've sent, probably because they know, oh, I signed up for this event. Like, I'm not going to unsubscribe. I need this information. So that's really helpful. Now, you'll notice there is a resubscribe checkbox over here. So this would be if you had, for example, this is Steve's email, but say Steve accidentally unsubscribed to my list, or maybe he unsubscribed on a transactional email, but he meant to unsubscribe from all my marketing emails that I've been sending him about all my other events. He's like, I don't need any of that, but like, please do give me more information about the Craft Beer Fest, because I'm coming to that one. you could resubscribe them. That's really the only time you would want to resubscribe someone, is if you have like an explicit request from that person to be added back to your list. And in this case, you would want to kind of check which list they unsubscribe from and make sure that they understand what types of emails they're going to start receiving again when you resubscribe them. So don't just go in here resubscribing people willy-nilly. Obviously, that is unethical, and also they won't appreciate it very much and will probably just unsubscribe again. But that option is here, which is really nice for you, so you can just add people back. Because if you import a custom list with Steve's email on it while he's still unsubscribed, it won't send to him. So there's no way to add them back other than using this resubscribe option. So down here at the bottom, you actually have a nice field where you can unsubscribe multiple people. You would just enter like one email per line. So if I had a bunch of people in a Google Doc that wanted to be unsubscribed, or an email or something, I could just paste it in here as long as they were on separate lines and unsubscribe a bunch of people in bulk. This is useful depending on your process. Like maybe you have a few people that you know want to be unsubscribed or have reached out to you and you keep them somewhere else. Or you have a list of people that have requested not to be on certain emails, and so you can unsubscribe them here and then not worry about having to clean up your custom lists. So there's a few different reasons why you might want to use this, but it is nice to have. So this unsubscribe page can be useful. I will also point out my last little thing. This is useful to check if somebody complains that they aren't receiving your emails. Before you go in and try to figure out like, oh, well, like what list were you on? Like, did I send it, did I send it to the right list? Check here first, because they may have unsubscribed like a few months ago or something and not even realized it or forgotten, and they may just need to be resubscribed here to the right email list. So anything else I should show while I'm in here, Steve?
Elizabeth, I think you did a bang up job. As always, if you're needing some help with anything, we have a quick little link in that orange button that will take you to our help website, where you can search for different topics and things that are relevant to the piece that you're working within. So always want people to be reminded of that. Otherwise, I think we covered everything.
All right, I'll take us back into here. So I will quickly just remind you all where I was. So whether or not you're in a ticket event or a donation website or donation form, to review everything, I was in email, the email tab. And then first I was in the sent email lists, and then I went over to the email statistics report. So under email reports, email statistics. And then last I showed the unsubscribes. And then I also showed the send email, which is obviously also under the email tab, for a minute there.
Awesome. So before we talk a little bit more about the, putting all this good information to use, Zach had a couple good questions that I just wanted to cover real quick. So his first question was, can you use a replacement tag like a first name in the subject line to personalize? And while that could be very helpful, that is not something that's an option right now. So it would need to be in the body. But I think most notifications on most devices these days are going to show you the subject line, but also kind of the first line of the email. So I think they're still going to get the effect of that. But either way, it's unfortunately not an option at this point. And then is there a way to, let's see, to get a list of emails that click on a specific link so that we can have a more targeted future email to just those individuals? And Elizabeth kind of alluded to the fact that I think we're going to be getting to some more, even more robust reporting in the future that is going to, I think, get us close to or solving this question where we're drilling down, by email versus sort of the aggregate view. Where it's not necessarily showing the number of counts or clicks per URL within your content. Anything else to add about that, Elizabeth? Either on the subject line? Yeah,
that's like the second one is something that I know we plan to add, the ability to kind of track like who clicked on a certain thing. It probably won't be for a little while, and I don't know exactly how long a little while is, but that's something that we essentially have on the registration platform. So we will eventually be bringing it to this new email. And then for the subject line, I think that's also something we're going to add probably sooner than the other one, because we already have replacement tags, just not in the subject line yet.
So stay tuned, Zach.
Good question.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm managing my Google number here. That doesn't seem to be, anyone else have those issues? Let's see here. We're going to end that. All right, success. We're going to move on here to how we're going to put our email analytics to use. So again, and this seems like the obvious one, but review your data. Meaning that, you know, a lot of folks send out emails through multiple platforms on our platform, and then it's sort of set it and forget it. No. That's sort of the purpose and the whole message we hope you take away from today is to really use this information that we're collecting to your advantage. And after you're surveying maybe the 5 emails that you sent over the last couple of months, look to categorize these emails by content buckets, or a bucket of all the ones that were sent on Tuesdays or ones that were sent in the morning. And then the types of recipients that you sent to, and either lists or the types of lists that you were sending to folks. So what you're trying to do here is to extrapolate or get patterns out of this data, so that you can have useful information that could apply to future emails that are similar or appeal or have traits from these buckets, you know, either by content or the date and time of recipients. And then identify the traits of your most successful communications. So if you're looking at the ones that had the highest click-through rates, what about those? And maybe within these different buckets I just mentioned, what do they have in common, so that you can repeat those in your future communications. And then look at what other kind of testing could you do. And obviously you don't want to do wild testing to a database of 50,000 people with some content that would be not what they are expecting, right? But think about, let's say I've got 3 emails that I've sent out. 2 were on Tuesdays and 1 was on Saturday. And the Tuesdays did really well. My one Saturday did well, but not as well as the Tuesdays. I wonder if I send my next one on a Saturday, and just now I've got 2 Tuesdays and 2 Saturday emails to compare data for. And that way that can help fine tune, and it'd be worth that point of testing, knowing that it still may be successful, but then your future emails, you'll pull out that, man, Tuesday really is the best day after we've looked at our data. So that's going to benefit you going forward. And that leads to developing best practices. So, you might have it in your head that Tuesday's the best day, and you might know that I got to keep things, to maybe the ones that are 5 or less words have been the most effective for you guys in the subject line. Maybe keeping it to 2 lines and 1 button is always, gets the most activity. But document this for your team so that they know how to replicate that. And now it's not sitting in one silo in your brain, but your whole team now can benefit from these findings. And you can start to get sort of a pattern that ways that you communicate that your folks can expect and look for, and enjoy the cadence of. And it's like, man, every Friday I'm getting an update on where my fundraising dollars are going to. Those kind of sort of, again, patterns for folks are really important, and it helps them, sort of be in tune, keep you on their radar. And then once you've got sort of your findings, you've got your best practices laid out for the team, then you want to go and start creating a calendar for future communications. I think a lot of us have been in those spots or been on teams where things are fire drill. Tomorrow we're sending out a mass email inviting everybody to our new event. Try to avoid that because I think it serves well to be able to make sure you schedule things out in advance, that you're not overwhelming your participants, that you're giving a chance to upload a custom list of contacts that are within your organization so you can test, have people look for typos, make sure everybody's clicking on the links and those aren't broken. The graphics aren't showing funky in one web browser versus another. You know, those things are, I think, are really important when you can plan ahead in that way. So set yourself up for success by following that. And now your action plan. So what we would ask you to do, let's say that your request to watch, let's see, what was my favorite one recent, Elizabeth? To watch the Christmas listing. That was all about a farmhouse that was being sold and two competing realtors who eventually found love. If you get your request to watch that for the 20th time gets denied, maybe you want to go and just play around like we did today with our GiveSignup email marketing tools. And if you don't already, set up a ticket event or a donation website at GiveSignup.org and upload a custom list of folks to test. Again, those could be friends and family or folks that you work with in your organization. And then create emails and just send things out and have people give you feedback. Maybe do some test databases of your internal folks with not real data, but maybe dollars raised in 2021, supporter status that they reach, or events that they attended, and use those data replacement tags. You know, don't wait until you're going to send something out to your entire database or a large segment of your database to be testing things because you're just setting yourself up for the unknown, and we all know the unknown can be a very scary place. So get some confidence behind your email communications by testing those out and maybe using some, you know, I know year end is very busy for nonprofits. So find that pocket of time though that you and your team can explore things, and then you're just going into muscle memory once you're into hot times during 2022, where you're just pushing things out and knowing that it's going to work. Sending out those multiple emails so that you can get additional data, so you can see sort of the graphs and how the information coming in is going to look. And then obviously with test data, it's not going to be real users that are really responding to a campaign request, but at least you can be, you know, looking at what things are going to pull from it, what data points are going to pull from it, and just be ready when you have that real data in place. So I think you've got your homework, you've got a lot of great information you've gotten today, a new movie a suggestion for next week. And so I think we'll open up to any additional questions. Don't panic. You can type quickly and we can try to answer that right now, or we can follow up with you later. Certainly when you get that recorded version of this webinar, you can respond. And again, we're always here to help you with anything, whether it's email marketing related or just getting going, you know, walking yourself through the donation wizard. Like, you know, please reach out to us and we're happy to help you with that. All right, Elizabeth, anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'll give people a couple of minutes if they do want questions. I wanted to show something, if I can get out of this. There we go. I was going to show on our registration platform. Obviously, we have had an email feature for a while. And this is what it kind of looks like right now. This will eventually be replaced by this new email that we're building out, starting with the ticket and donation products, but that will take some time. So this email marketing is available on registration for a while. But we have a bunch of reports in here, so I wanted to give you guys an idea of how it will eventually probably work. So we have all of these different reports on registration. So this is the kind of thing that you will eventually see in this new email, in your ticket event, your donation website. So things like automated email analytics versus manual, because eventually we'll have automated emails. We'll have separate reports for different things like bounced emails and blocked emails. So we're going to kind of recreate this, but make it better and have separate reports for all of these things. So some of this is stuff we already have and some of it's stuff we'll add in the future, but I wanted to point that out.
Awesome, that's helpful. Thanks, Elizabeth. And then while you were talking, we got a question from Anna, who is brought a very good point up, and apologies for glossing over it, because it is something that is not always common knowledge, and sometimes we pretend like everybody knows certain terminology or vocabulary. So Anna asks, new to this, what is a replacement tag? So a replacement tag is, and I think Elizabeth's going to help show that right now. It's basically where you're going to be able to insert data from a database, whether that's from a custom list that you've uploaded or information that you've collected from somebody who's donated or purchased a ticket on our platform. And then you're able to actually include that piece of data in the email, and it's personalized or customized for each person. So an example would be, let's say in your database of contacts, you've got how much your donors raised in 2020, and you're sending out a campaign 2 or 3 days. By the way, 12% of all giving at the end of the year happens in the last 3 days of the year. So if you don't already have that in place and you have the ability and resources to do it, please consider that. But if you're doing a campaign and you want to thank them, for being so generous last year by donating X amount of dollars, by putting in that replacement tag, it's going to know, all right, in that column, in that spreadsheet that was uploaded for that person's email address, that same row, take the amount that is in that column for that data replacement tag and dump it right there in that email. And that's where the magic is, where people are, you did not craft 1,000 emails to personally reach to everybody and acknowledge their 2020 giving. You simply took 2 or 3 seconds and put in a replacement tag that is then pulling that custom information for each person. And if you look at the screen here, you can see right where she's going, where Elizabeth's going. Yep, perfect. So under replacement tags, any of the fields that you uploaded in your custom list are going to be able to be dropped in, and you can have unlimited amount of fields that you can upload. So it could be, again, the names of the events that they attended, or the members, the names of their family members, things like that, that you maybe would want to acknowledge in here. And again, it's, whether you have 5 people on your list that all have data for that replacement tag, or 50,000 people, it's the same amount of time that you have to invest, which is incredible. So hopefully, Anna, that answers your question. One thing we just want to make sure that this is kind of a tip and trick here is that when if you're combining multiple lists, that you want to make sure that if you're going to put a replacement tag in, that field has information for your recipients in those lists that you're bringing in. So let's say I've got a list that is event attendees with no donation information, and then I've got a donor list, and I want to bring in my 2020 amount raised that's in my donor list spreadsheet. If you don't have that field in your your attendees spreadsheet, it's just going to put in a blank. But what we have, which is great, is it is the ability to input a default tag, meaning that if somebody doesn't have that data, then put this in. So for example, if I don't have somebody's first name, and I want to be able to say, hi, Steve, hi, Elizabeth, for those that I do have first names for, I can tell it to put in friend, exactly. So so for that one person, I only have their email address, is just going to say hi, friend, instead of hi, Steve. So I think those are really helpful.
I don't know what you would do for 2020 money raised in this specific example that I've created, but you could do something like that.
You're nailing it, I think, right there, Elizabeth. So congrats on that. So yeah, and if you can get creative, right? But either way, it's like, all right, oh my gosh, I've got 1,000 people with this amazing information, but I'm missing information for 10 people, and I don't want to not have to do that. So you could revise your list, or you could use the default placeholder when that information is missing for a user or for a recipient.
Yeah, if you find yourself doing too much with these default placeholders, you should probably segment, which we talked about, and just send out 2 separate emails with slightly different wording so that you don't have to worry about that overlapping data. But yeah, good point, Steve. And thanks for the question, Anna. We've tried to address that in all the webinars, but this one we actually didn't talk about replacement tags in detail.
Elizabeth, Anna's on it. She's fired up. She's already creating her email right now and uploading a list. I can steal it. So, well, I think that concludes it. Again, guys, post a question here if you have just another minute before we go, and we'll answer it offline or by email. And you also have the chance to schedule a one-on-one workshop with us and ask any additional questions when you get that recorded version. Otherwise, we're going to see all of you in 2022. Like Elizabeth said, we are going to have some new and exciting. We have so many product features that are ready to be released or like have just been released that we're going to do more webinars on that are going to help you guys be successful. So again, go to GiveSignup.blog, make sure you're signed up for that, because we'll be notifying you when those are coming up so you can get signed up. I think the Christmas movie thing, I think, derailed us, Elizabeth. Usually we keep these to under 30 minutes.
I know.
So I will try to contain my excitement. I won't have that topic necessarily on at the top of my mind next time. So we'll be a little bit more efficient. But thanks everybody for joining us, especially those that have been with us for the full series. And give us feedback. If you liked what you saw, if things are helpful and not helpful, we'd love to hear those, all that feedback. So thanks again, everybody. See you next year.